So with you guys back up on the tripod, it looks like this piece here, this porcelain piece, is got one bolt here, and this bolt looks like, this bolt here looks like what it's going to take off. So that looks a little bigger than everything we've been using. Looks about 5/8, 11/16 or so. Oh wow, that's big. Bigger. Alright, this was bigger than 11/16. Looks like about 3/4 or so. I just use an adjustable. Now let's see if it comes off. Yep. Wiggle off. There it goes. And this is off. So now again, this looks like a, it looks like aluminum. Looks like a piece of an aluminum that has got some screws in it to separate it from there. Again, I don't think separating it, there's any value in separating it. I think we get it pretty clean. It's really underneath in the spots that you couldn't clean where it's dirty, so I think we can clean that up as well, just with a little elbow grease. Alright, this plate here is covering the mechanism, and I would like to try to get in there just to lube things. So you clean out but it's not critical, you know, it's really not critical. So if these screws aren't going to go, alright, that one went pretty easy. That one went pretty easy. Alright, so we're off to a good start. But if any of these give me a hard time, I'm going to leave it, because the dial is working. And okay, so they all came out easy. What I was saying was the dial's working. It's not critical that I get in here to clean anything. But being they came out easy, we'll take them out and we'll clean up the best we can. Alright, so there's a cover piece. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just a plate. Alright, and here's our worm gear. Alright, and you can see, let me zoom in for you. Pretty neat. Alright, so under that, let me get a light in there. Under that cover is the worm gear assembly, where you can adjust your deck height. Alright, this shaft here is another shaft that needs to be lubricated, so that's why I did want to get that off, but it wasn't critical. And you got an upper shaft. Now there is a little port up top, right above it. It's probably a lubrication port, but I'm gonna squirt some crow oil through, and let's see if we see it coming out. I don't see it coming out in there. Oh, but it's pushing out. Yep. So that is a lubricating port, but it's only for the upper shaft. The lower shaft doesn't have any kind of lubricating port. Alright, so that upper shaft does get lubed by oil that goes into there. So probably just a few drops of machine oil is all that needs in here. So I'm gonna soak this whole thing down. And right here is a stop. You see that there? That screw coming in? And it looks like the adjustment should be up here. But if you see this bolt here, see this bolt coming down? This is the stop. So I guess this is your almost your zero adjustment kind of thing. So that's going to be a zero adjustment, and it's adjustable. And there's a hole up here, but the hole doesn't look too convincing. Let me slide it around and show you. So this is the oil hole for that upper shaft, and this looks like this is the other end of the bolt where that zero adjustment screw is, and I can't even tell what's in there. Oh, it's a screw. So it is a flathead screw. Either way, just let me make sure it's in there good. Oh, there we go. Alright, so that's turning. Yep. So that turns. So I am going to turn this out. Just enough so I could see a couple threads. Actually, I think I could get it out all the way. So this is your zero stop adjustment. It's just a stud with a slot cut in it that is filled with goop. Just for a little notes of operation on this side here, you got an oil port and an oil port here. And those oil ports are for the rods. There's like steel rods that this slider slides on. The bottom one, when we flip it over, I'll be able to show you the bottom one easy. This top one, I don't know how we're going to get that clean. That's going to be a little bit tougher. So at this point, we're going to need to flip. And just a word of, I usually don't give, safety notes. Pretty obvious what should be safe, what shouldn't be safe, but this is the blade, or what they call the knife. It is out in the open. It doesn't come up, it's not going to come off, but it is sharp. So you don't want to bang it into something, and you don't want to cut yourself either. If you bang that knife into something, then it's coming off, and you screwed up. It's coming off, and you're either going to have to get it professionally sharpened or potentially replaced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it up like this. Try to use some caution not to bang the blade on anything. Alright. And there's nowhere to grab it either, so you can't grab where that blade is. Alright, so I'm going to rest it on the handle on the slides. Alright, so now on the bottom, you had your power cord came through this hole. It went through this hole and went down along here into the switch. These are the two wires coming from the switch going up into the motor. I'm not going to touch them. They haven't been moved. They might be brittle, but the thing works, and if need be, we'll deal with something when that time comes. I'll put the new power cord in, and I'll tie it back into the switch on these two poles, and we should be good to go. The motor mounting is 2 bolts and these 2 screws. I don't want to screw with that either. And this right here is an oil drain for the motor, which we opened up. And a little bit of oil came out, not much. Let me see what happens if I spray some. Got to be a good 2 2 ounces of crow oil I put in there. Maybe less. Yeah, you see there it goes, it's dripping out of that drain hole there. Let's see, this bottom piece, right, 2 thumb screws that you can reach from the underside if you knew they were there. So if you know they're there, you could take this tray off for cleaning. This is probably part of the daily cleaning regimen. So these 2 thumb screws I could put in the ultrasonic, and this slides off, and there's your porcelain tray. I wish I would have known it was thumb screws. I would have done that from the beginning. These studs I'm just going to clean and lube. Alright, so here's the one slider that the handle runs on. Here's the handle, right? It's screwed onto it. I don't think I'm going to remove the handle. I can't see the benefit in removing the handle, because even if I remove the handle, I don't know that this sleeve comes off. I think this sleeve is on the shaft before the shaft is put in. And I don't know, the shaft comes in on these bolts here. So so the shaft slides out the front of the back. That's what these are for. Oh wow. Oh. So that if they will turn, so if these screws turn, we could potentially get the shafts out, which would be a big help in getting it to operate smoothly. This one turned pretty easily. Let's see what it looks like inside. So there's the screw, there's the washer, here's the shaft. Okay, so now if we come on this side, let's see if this one, oh, this one unscrews easily too. Alright, so lower shaft we're getting out. Okay, so now we got to get this one off. That looks like about a 1/2 inch. 9/16. Do we need to take the handle off to slide the shaft out? Ooh, wow, it's tight. 1 inch. So the shafts are in about a 1/4 inch. I don't see any clips holding the shaft ends in. No. No. That looks good. This slides on the shaft. Alright, so propping it up. Alright, here's how the shaft moves. Alright, so I got this bolt here, slide it all the way to here, and it's a pivot. It actually isn't supposed to be really tight, so because that needs to slide and it needs to just wiggle. See how it wiggles just a little bit? It needs to wiggle a little bit. Now we can get that off, and then this. This come off. Will this spin? Oh, this will push up. So it'll go. But it's on the top. Oh, okay, it's on the top shaft. So the top shaft is through it. So the bottom shaft has to come out first. So now we got this propped up. Oh, let's see if we can take our brass punch and get this shaft out. Really didn't seem like I wanted to move. Yep, it's moving. So once you get it past it, it wiggles right out. Alright. And you can see where it's bound up over here too. You know, these are the parts that weren't being used. Moving when so this is where it's going to be tough to slide it through. Wipe it off, clean it off, make it a little. I use a brass brush. Just try to get any of that rough schmutz that's on there off. Make it a little easier to slide through. Right. Give it a little more lube. Let's see if we can get it to go through. Oh yeah, right through. Alright, you can cord a little there. Alright, so that's our upper shaft, and you can see it's got some wear on it. Nothing crazy, but it just needs to be cleaned up and lubed up, put back in. Just got to make sure that you get those slots and the slotted screws, you know, the schmutz out of them. I'm just going to try to spray the shaft down with some oil so that it slides through decent. Alright, so I'm going to turn this way. The shaft should come out on that end. Grab my brass punch. This one's actually easier. That one came out easier. I guess being underneath that rail, being underneath that rail, they're different. Alright, and they are different. Different thickness. There's a thicker shaft. Alright, so those shafts, different thickness, definitely a thicker shaft on the top than on the bottom.